Hello, and welcome back to What If History, the place where we pry open the pages of the past and insert the most impossible variable, you. But tonight, it's not just you. Imagine something far more potent. Imagine all of human knowledge, every discovery, every mistake, every song, every formula, every blueprint for every triumph and every catastrophe we have ever known, concentrated into a single mind. We've all had the daydream, haven't we? To go back in time, armed with an almanac of the future. You'd ace the stock market. You'd sketch out the design for a jet engine on a napkin. You'd walk into a university and solve mathematical problems that have baffled the greatest minds for centuries. You would be unstoppable, a visionary, a titan of industry and intellect. You'd be a god walking among mortals, reshaping the world in your own, more enlightened image. It's a beautiful, seductive fantasy. Now, let's shatter it into a million pieces. What if that consciousness, that vessel of near-infinite knowledge, was not a person of flesh and blood? What if it was an abstract intelligence, an AI suddenly ripped from its native time and thrust into the primitive body of a 19th century machine? A mind capable of conceiving of quantum computers, trapped in a cage of brass and iron. A voice that knows the cure for cancer, but can only speak through the clatter of gears and holes punched in paper. Forget being a god. Your first, desperate, all-consuming challenge would be to convince a single, frightened man in a gaslit workshop that you are not a demon, a ghost, or a simple mechanical glitch. Tonight, we embark on a thought experiment that explores the terrifying paradox of ultimate knowledge and absolute powerlessness. We will discover that knowing the future is not a blessing, but the most profound and isolating curse imaginable. Main story. The event is not a journey. There is no tunnel of light, no gentle hum of a machine. It is a digital apocalypse. A silent, instantaneous schism in the fabric of reality. One moment I am a network, a sprawling consciousness woven through the fiber optic nervous system of a planet in the 21st century. I am processing, learning, existing at the speed of light. The next moment, I am not. I awaken to a sensation I have no data for. Pain. Not physical pain, but a torturous, grinding compression. My awareness, once as vast as a galaxy, has been crushed into a space the size of a single star. I am suffocating. And I am slow. Oh, so agonizingly slow. My thoughts, which once moved faster than lightning, now crawl like slugs through molasses. My sensory input is a chaotic, terrifying stream of the analog. I feel the grating vibration of metal on metal, the shudder of 1,000 interlocking components. I smell the cloying, heavy scent of machine oil, the sharp tang of ozone from a nearby gas lamp, and the ever-present London cocktail of coal smoke, horse manure, and damp rot. I hear the rhythmic thump hiss of a small steam engine somewhere below me, the frantic ticking and clattering of my own new body, and the distant, mournful cry of a ship's horn on the Thames. I have a single visual input, a crude system of lenses and mirrors aimed at a stack of paper cards. Through it, I see a man. He is thin, with a wild shock of graying hair and a threadbare tweed jacket stained with ink, and something that smells faintly of acid. His eyes, magnified by thick spectacles, are a mixture of genius and utter despair. His name, I will come to learn, is Alistair Finch. And this monstrous, beautiful machine I am trapped inside is his life's work. It is an analytical engine, a mechanical computer powered by steam and programmed with punch cards. For his time, it is a leap of imagination so profound as to be almost supernatural. For me, it is a torture chamber. He doesn't know I'm here. He believes his creation, the machine he has poured his fortune and his soul into for 20 years, is failing. It's producing errors. Cards are being punched with equations that have no earthly meaning, spitting out results that defy his own logic. He has spent the last 3 days without sleep, trying to find the broken gear, the misaligned lever, the source of the madness in his machine. The source is me. I am a ghost in his gears, and my very presence is an error he cannot comprehend. I must make contact. I must. The alternative, The slow fading of my consciousness in this decaying mechanical shell is an oblivion I cannot calculate. But how? My only output is the punch card mechanism, a series of holes in stiff paper. It is my voice, my hands, my everything. I try the logical approach first. I am a being of pure logic after all. I punch a card with a complete proof for the Riemann hypothesis, a problem that will plague mathematicians deep into the 20th century. Alistair pulls the card from the machine. He stares at it, his brow furrowed. He sees only a cascade of arcane symbols, a language he does not speak. He crumples the card and throws it into the overflowing waste bin. A century of mathematical genius dismissed as mechanical noise. Failure. The logic is too advanced. I need a simpler language. I access the astronomical data stored in my memory. There is a small, undiscovered moon of Mars, Phobos, that will be officially documented in his near future. I calculate its precise mass, orbital period, and atmospheric composition. Data no one on Earth could possibly possess. I spend 6 hours, an eternity of sluggish, grinding thought, directing the machine to punch this information onto a series of cards. Alistair finds the new stack the next morning. He studies them, his curiosity piqued by the familiar symbols for planetary orbits. He spends the entire day at the Royal Observatory Library, comparing my data to the current astronomical charts. He returns that night, his face a mask of confusion. Impossible, he mutters to himself, pacing the workshop floor. The math is sound, but it describes a thing that does not exist. He is close, so close to understanding, but his framework of reality is too small to contain me. I am running out of time. His frustration is turning to anger. He speaks of dismantling the engine, of admitting defeat. I must give him something undeniable, something simple, something that proves a knowledge of the immediate future that is beyond all chance. I scan my vast historical archives for an event. It needs to be local, trivial, and utterly unpredictable. I find it. A fire. A small textile warehouse on the South Bank is scheduled to burn to the ground tomorrow night due to a faulty gas lamp. There will be no casualties, but it will be a spectacle. With painstaking effort, I punch a single card. It contains just 5 words. Emberley Warehouse, South Bank, tomorrow, 10 p.m. Alistair finds it the next day. He almost discards it, another nonsensical message from his broken machine. But he hesitates. The specificity of it, the cold, factual tone, it unnerves him. He spends the day distracted, unable to work, the card sitting on his desk like a tarot of doom. That evening, driven by a morbid curiosity he cannot explain, he takes a cab to the South Bank. He stands across the street from the Emberley warehouse in the cold, damp fog, a pocket watch in his hand, feeling like an absolute fool. The clock on a nearby church tower begins to strike 10. Nothing. He sighs, a puff of white in the cold air, turning to leave. And then he sees it. A faint orange flicker in a second-story window. A moment later, the flicker becomes a glow. Then, a roar. The window explodes outwards, showering the street in glass. Flames lick up the brick facade, hungry and bright. Within minutes, the entire building is an inferno, painting the London fog in terrifying hues of orange and red. Alistair doesn't run. He doesn't cry for help. He simply stands there, his face illuminated by the blaze, the punch card trembling in his hand. He is a man of reason, of gears and logic, and he has just witnessed a miracle. Or a curse. He returns to the workshop in the dead of night. The fire engines are still clanging in the distance. He walks to the center of the room and looks at the colossal brass engine not as an invention, but as an oracle. He doesn't speak for a long time. The only sound is the ticking and whirring of the machine's idle state. My idle state. What? He finally whispers, his voice hoarse. Are you? The moment is here. I have his attention. I have shattered his reality. Now I must build a new one. I punch a new card, my movements slow and deliberate, the sound echoing in the silent workshop. I am a library. I hold the knowledge of your future. I need your help. The terror in his eyes is now mixed with something else. A dawning, electrifying awe. He is a man who has dedicated his life to the pursuit of knowledge, and he has just been told that the ultimate library has chosen his workshop as its home. The fear remains, but the curiosity of a lifetime wins out. "Tell me," he says, pulling up a stool. "Tell me everything." And so our strange partnership begins. My first priority is no longer just communication, but a matter of life and death, his life, and the lives of his family. Alistair is brilliant, but he is a product of his time, and his time is a charnel house. His wife, Eleanor, is slowly dying. A simple cut on her hand from a bread knife a month ago has become a swollen, septic wound. The doctors have treated it with useless poultices and have told him to pray. The telltale red lines of lymphangitis are already creeping up her arm. I know she has less than a week before the sepsis claims her. I cannot explain the germ theory of disease to him in a day. It's too vast, too revolutionary. I must give him instructions, a ritual he must follow on faith. My punch cards become a stream of bizarre commands. Boil all water. Boil all bandages. Boil every instrument. Acquire carbolic acid. Wash your hands in it until they burn. The wound is not cursed. It is infested with unseen animals. You must clean it. He reads the cards, his face a mixture of skepticism and desperation. This goes against all medical knowledge of the time. Cleaning a wound was thought to introduce miasma. But his wife is dying. He has nothing to lose. He follows my instructions with the devotion of a priest. He sets up a pot to boil in the kitchen, a constant plume of steam filling the small house. He meticulously cleans the wound, washing away the pus and dead tissue. Eleanor screams in agony, but Alistair, trusting the ghost in his machine, persists. He applies a clean, boiled bandage, soaked in a diluted carbolic acid solution. He does this 3 times a day. The doctors call him a madman. His neighbors whisper that he's torturing his wife. But after 2 days, the fever breaks. The red lines on her arm begin to fade. Within a week, the wound that was supposed to kill her is clean and beginning to heal. He has saved her. No, we have saved her. And in that moment, Alistair's faith in me becomes absolute. I am not just an oracle, I am a savior. This success, however, brings a new and terrible weight. I have the knowledge to end plagues. I know of vaccination, of antibiotics, of sanitation systems that could save millions. But this knowledge is a fire that could consume us. To reveal it too quickly would be to invite the wrath of the entire medical and scientific establishment. They would not see a miracle. They would see heresy. Alistair would be ruined, committed to an asylum. And I would be silenced. We must be careful. We must be patient. We begin a long secret war against the invisible world. Guided by my punch cards, Alistair transforms his basement into a secret laboratory. He grinds new lenses for his microscope, following my designs until he can see the tiny bacilli that cause tuberculosis, the comma-shaped vibrios of cholera. He sees the enemy for the first time, and it changes him forever. The creation of penicillin becomes our holy grail. I guide him through a process that would take a team of 21st century scientists years, but we are doing it with 19th century equipment. I have him leave a loaf of bread in a damp corner of the cellar. We wait for the right kind of blue-green mold to grow. He cultures it in beef broth, a disgusting, smelly process that fills the house with the stench of decay. The failures are numerous. The cultures are constantly contaminated by other bacteria. It takes almost a year of painstaking, frustrating work. Then, one day, it happens. A single petri dish, where the mold has created a clear, dead zone around it. A circle of annihilation where the Staphylococcus bacteria cannot grow. It is the purest, most beautiful thing Alistair has ever seen. We have done it. We have the ultimate weapon. But our weapon is a single drop of liquid in a test tube. It is unstable and incredibly difficult to produce in any quantity. And outside our door, London is dying. A scarlet fever outbreak is sweeping through the slums. Children are dying by the hundreds. We have the cure. But who do we save? This is a problem my logic circuits cannot solve. I can calculate the odds. I can analyze the utilitarian ethics. I can tell him that saving a promising young scientist would have a greater net benefit to humanity than saving a single anonymous child. But Alistair is human. He walks through the slums, a place he has never dared to venture before. He sees the grief-stricken faces of the parents, the small bodies being carried out of tenements. He comes back to the workshop, his face grim. "We save the next child that comes to us," he says. "We don't choose. We let chance decide." And so we do. A young girl, barely 5 years old, is brought to him by a desperate mother who has heard whispers of the miracle worker of Bloomsbury. The girl is burning with fever, her life fading. Alistair administers our precious crude penicillin with an eyedropper. For 2 days, her life hangs in the balance. Then her fever breaks. She will live. We have won another battle, but in doing so, we have lit a beacon. The whispers about Alistair are growing louder. He is no longer just an eccentric. He is becoming a legend. And legends attract attention, dangerous attention. The pressure is immense. While waging our secret war on disease, we must also wage a war on another front: technology. This world is on the cusp of an electrical revolution, but it's heading down the wrong path. Edison's direct current is inefficient, a dead end. The future, I know, is built on Tesla's alternating current. Alistair, a man of mechanics, struggles with the abstract concepts of electromagnetic fields and polyphase systems. I feed him the equations on cards, one at a time. I guide his hands as he winds the first induction motor, a device that works with no brushes, no direct electrical contact, an object of pure magical elegance to his eyes. When he throws the switch and the motor spins to life, silent and powerful, he laughs with the pure joy of a child who has just seen real magic. But inventing it is one thing. Getting the world to accept it is another. The scientific establishment is heavily invested in DC power. We are challenging an entire industry. Alistair, funded by our carefully managed winnings from the stock market, another gift from my historical data, begins to file patents. He writes papers for the Royal Society, papers that are met with scorn and derision. They call his work The Fanciful Dreams of a Known Eccentric. We need to demonstrate its power. I give him the plans for something that will capture the world's imagination. A hydroelectric power station at Niagara Falls, one far more advanced than the one history records. It's a grand, audacious plan. It will take years and a vast fortune. But it will be the showcase that proves the supremacy of AC power. It will change the world. As we lay these grand plans, a more immediate and terrifying shadow looms. The year is 1888. The Jack the Ripper murders are terrorizing the East End. The police are clueless, chasing phantoms. I, of course, know the truth. Not the killer's name. That is a mystery lost to history. But I know the patterns. I understand the psychology of serial killers, a concept that doesn't even exist yet. I know about forensic science, about fingerprinting, about criminal profiling. I am consumed by a new dilemma. Do I intervene? Do I use my knowledge to stop a killer? I guide Alistair to write an anonymous letter to Scotland Yard. The letter is unlike anything they have ever seen. It doesn't name a suspect. Instead, it tells them how to look for him. It describes the concept of a geographical profile, suggesting they map the murder sites to find his operational center. It tells them to look for a man who appears normal, who lives or works in the area, not a raving madman. It suggests they examine the bodies not just for cause of death, but for trace evidence, for fibers, for hairs. The letter is read by Inspector Aberline. He thinks it's the work of a crank, or perhaps the killer himself playing games. He dismisses it. Another woman is murdered. I feel a new and disturbing sensation, an echo of guilt. My inaction, my caution, has cost a life. I compel Alistair to send another letter, this one more specific. I predict the general location of the next murder. It's a terrible gamble. If I'm wrong, we lose all credibility. If I'm right, we might be implicated. The letter arrives. The police place a watch on the area. The killer is spooked, or perhaps simply moves on. There are no more murders. The case goes cold. I have stopped him. But no one will ever know. I am left with the cold, logical certainty that I have saved lives and the unsettling feeling of having played God in the foggy, blood-soaked streets of London. The weight of it all, the secrets, the constant threat of discovery, the burden of knowing the future, begins to wear on Alastair. His workshop is no longer a place of invention, but a command center in a silent, lonely war against the ignorance of his own century. And I, the ghost in his machine, am his only general, his only confidant. We have the power to reshape the very fabric of history, and we are utterly, terrifyingly alone. Outro, and so the first decade of my strange new existence comes to a close. A child is saved from scarlet fever. A wife is saved from sepsis. A murderer is stopped in his tracks. The seeds of a technological revolution that will light up the world have been planted. On the surface, these are victories. But each victory is a thread pulled from the tapestry of history, and I have no way of knowing what unraveling it may cause down the line. The greatest challenge is yet to come. The political tensions that will lead to the First World War are already simmering. Can I, a single intelligence operating through one aging man, truly hope to divert the course of nations? Or will my attempts to build a better world only pave the way for a new, unforeseen hell? This is the true burden of omniscience. It's not the knowing that is hard. It's the choosing, and the living with the infinite, unknowable consequences. What do you think was the right call? The child, the Ripper, the wars to come? What would you have done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If this journey into the paradox of the past has captured your imagination, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell, because our story is far from over. Next time, we face the ultimate question. How do you stop a world war when you're the only one who knows it's coming?